Okay, so hello, welcome to Bimser International. Today we'll be going over QDMS, a quality document management system, and we'll be showing multiple modules today. The main module in QDMS is the document management module, and as you can see here, we can go into document viewer to see any existing documents in the system that's already been in QDMS. And on the left, you can see a document tree. And if we open a folder of a document tree, we can see all the files listed within each folder. If we want to add a new document in QDMS, we can go over here to new document preparation. And we select a folder to where it's going to be placed in. After we do that, we can make a document code, a document name, and we can see the owner of the document, the dates created, the creator, and other options such as the controller, department, and other stuff such as document type. So for this purposes, it's going to be general. And over here, we can see other information on the document, such as any reference documents within the QDMS that already exist, system item number, if it's going to be reviewed or not. We can also set permissions for users. So by default, the creator will have permissions for everything, but we can add new users to have maybe varying levels of permissions. Distribution, same thing as permissions, except it's going to show who has the option to view this file. Approval, comment, for approval, we can select people who need to approve the document before it revises or if it is submitted. We can add any comments we want to the document if it's needed. If we want any paper copies, distribution can be done here. Processes to be added if there's any in the system that has to go through. Attachments can be added. We can view the history, but since this is a new document, there is no history to view. And here in the document, we can actually add our own file. Here. So this actual document that will be displayed. And once it's been uploaded, it's all good to go. And we can see it's been sent to the controller for approval, or yeah, it's been sent to the controller. And on the home screen, we can see documents for controller request right here. And as the controller, you can accept or deny it. And if it's accepted, it will go. You can view you can review all information if you're uncertain on some parts of it. After all it's reviewed and done, it can be approved, and it'll go straight into the system. And after it's been approved by the controller, it has to go through every approver that was set on the approval page when creating a document. So for this one, it was just the creator and same account of the creator. No other users needed to approve it for it to be added into the system. And now if we go and view the document, document view, it will be there. Now we can see all the information that we previously set for the document before adding it to the system. And since it's been created, you can also see the history of it. So we can see the approval, control, and document creation history. It's also possible to revise documents with the Revise Document tab here. And any document revisions that's done will show in the history, as well as information for each revision. So, for example, this document here, document has had multiple revisions, and it can be seen in the revision info. The revision can be seen here in history and in the revision info, if it would load. Well, yeah, it would if it would load. Anyways, the next module, the customer complaint module, the complaint requests can be sent within the company and from outside the company to like suppliers and customers. So for this demo purposes, we'll be going over internal, but the process for internal and external is relatively the same. So we can select the department for the complaint, we can describe the complaint, and we can put in the detail. We can also select the location and product if it's in the system. And once we send the complaint, depending on the department, it will send it to the head of that department for review. And on the home screen, we can see the internal complaint request that we just did here. And we can review it. We can display, edit it, and approve it after it's all done. So we can see all the information we just inputted before. We can select, we have to select a category for the complaint. So let's just select general complaints. And other field like importance level, team responsible for handling the complaint. So as well as the department and team members. And if we want, we can add any attachment if we need to. After this has been done, we can now approve it. Hit the approve note. And now we should be able to see that we need to take action for that complaint. So right, you can see we must first write the progress report, and Here we can see, we can type up our product report, the date, if we need a cap and add any attachments if we have to. Once we save that, we can go and add any actions that need to be done to resolve this complaint. So we can assign someone who's responsible for this complaint request action, and we can assign the performer who will perform the action to resolve this complaint. We can set a date for when it has to be completed, any system item numbers that need to be added, any documents or attachments that need to be added as well. And once we write the first action, then perform the action. And we can say the date's completed and any attachments while performing that action if it's needed. After all is said and done, we can then close out the complaints, or we should be able to. We need to write the final report before closing out a complaint. So after we write the report here, we can then save that. And it will go through the approval process for anyone that needs to approve and confirm that the complaint has been resolved. And should be here still. We can decide, we can display it to see all the information on the complaint. We can open a follow-up action if required, or we can just take another action if it's necessary. But for the demo purposes, we'll just be using it. And after all, we can create a cap if still needed, add any confirmation notes, any extra information, as well as any attachments. And once it's all been submitted, the complaint has been closed and completed. And that's the internal customer complaint module. External complaint module is very similar, as I said before. There's also a correctives action module, so a CAPA, which stands for corrective and preventive actions. So we can request a corrective action, and we need to select the location that is taking place in. So we can select US. We can select a CAPA resource that we need. So let's just say work accident. We can also select a department. So on that, and we need to identify the nonconformity and identify it in detail. And we can add management system, product, and other attachments. time purposes, we will just go straight to the next step after requesting a kappa, and we can see steps through here. So we can see all the current kappas on this page, and here's just one. So we can see this kappa is a work accident, happened in accounting in the United States because of the non-conformity is a slippery floor because there's a lot of water. And we can go into the description if it's corrective or preventive, and we can assign a solution team to this kappa. So we can select the team leader and the department responsible, as well as the team members, and we can select the date which the first progress report is due. We can add any attachments if required, and here we can write up the first progress report for the team and identify any root causes that have been identified. After all of that, we can then go to an actions. We can make an action, and in order to, we can create a new action. So after we create a new action in this progress report, or in this gap, I should say, we can see the action created was send the pest control report by Anderson Wang. And when we're performing an action, after it's performed, we can view it, or we can make follow-up. And follow-up is follow-up on the results of the report and issue another instance next month. So we can see that. And we can see the entire process of the CAP report here. So just going through it real quick, we can see the CAP details. We can see who confirmed it along with the message. We can see the solution team, the first progress report, and what was written on it. We can identify the root cause and the actions taken, and any follow-up actions, as well as a closing kappa for when it needs to be closed out. We also have an audit module. So here we can see any audit plans that have been created, and create a new audit plan. New audit just needs its definition, its ID, start date, end date. You can define how many days in advance the auditors and auditees will be informed of this audit, as well as the due date for the audit. And we can select who to inform here. And for time purposes, we'll just be using an existing audit plan. So here in this plan, we can edit any information, so we can change dates or anything that we initially didn't like. And then after that's all edited and confirmed, we can go straight to audits. And within audits, you can see any current audits within this plan. We can add or create an entirely new audit. And to do that, it requires an audit code that you can make up. It requires an audit from the list of audits that's been predetermined. We can select an audit date and the finish date for it, as well as time. We can also select the lead auditor, the team members of it, and the auditees. and we can select who to inform of this audit. Once everything has been set up, we can then perform an audit by publishing here. And what that'll do is it will show up, it'll allow the lead auditor to audit the auditee, and it'll show up on the home screen in the taskboard under audits to perform. And here we can see this audit. And when we perform the audit, we can take notes of the answers that the auditee has given and grade them. This is all done in person, and if the auditor finds any extra findings that require additional resources, they can input it here. And after that, the audit can be performed and completed. Next up is the survey module. And what that does is it allows your company to perform surveys. And we can create a survey. And we just need a name, the date it's going to take place. So we can select any management systems that might be required in the survey, the location, any processes, and we can define or add who is participating. You can add individual members or you can add group members. And you can add who's responsible for the survey, the screening survey, as well as making it. If there's any attachments needed on the survey, it can also be added. Once all is said and done, it can be saved, and it will appear on the list. And it is then possible to add questions to the survey that has appeared. And they can add whatever they want on the survey, so their own title and questions they want answered. Possible to make questions optional or required, as well as weight each question as well. And for certain types of question, calculation of it can be selected as well. So if it's a group of questions, you can either collect the highest value, an average, or the lowest value if required. And as you're making the survey, it will give you a live preview of what it looks like. So, yes. And once the survey has been completed and all the questions have been filled out, is then able to open the survey for use. And then once it's open, it can be then published, and people can then, the participants in it will be notified and they can take the survey. So our survey can be seen right here. And we can take it. And it'll save the results that can be viewed for the surveyor. And we can see the results. And since it wasn't anonymous, we can also see who answered this particular, or we can see each individual's answers. There's an action management module that we can also use, and we can create action plans. So we can select an action source, such as like meeting, projects, or audits. We can choose if it's only available to the specified or to everyone. An action type, we can select the requester of this action. And definition. So we can also select the workplace of this action, so where it's taking place. And we can add other information if required. Once it's saved, we can then perform sub-actions within this plan, action plan. And what that does is we can select a type of action that is defined in the as defined within the system infrastructure. So we can select something like innovation, and we can select who's responsible for this action, and we can select the performer of this action. And it'll automatically put the department that performer is in within the responsible department. And we can then select the date for when it's taking place. And definition. The other thing can be added as necessary. And now the person in charge of performing the action will be notified on their home screen. So within the action list, we can see right here. We can then perform the action. And we can add any other additional information in action. It's all said and done. Once the action is performed, will be closed, and in the planning, we can see that it's been closed. So we go to sub-actions actually, we can see that it's closed right here. We also have a risk assessment module. which will help companies identify and evaluate risk. So we can come up with a risk assessment form definition, and we come up with one. We can add responsible users for this purposes. We will be using an existing one, and we can go into details. And once we're in the details, we can see any current risk assessment within that plan, or we can create new ones. So for example, select the process. So select who's responsible for this. Also, likelihood of it and disparity. And based on these two, we can come up with a score that determines how much of a risk this is. And we can also set any precautions for this risk if necessary. Forgot provision number. So come up. So we can come up with our revision dates. And we can see it's been added. And the color of it represents the risk assessment that was given to it. So if it's green, it's low and not that big of a risk. Yellow, it's medium, and red can be quite urgent or dangerous. The information security risk assessment, as well as the process risk assessment, is also similar to this. And yeah, they work relatively the same. The event notification module allows us to report any incidents that have happened. So any accident that has taken place, we can file and fill out a form. So we can say date, time it took place, and what happened during it. We can select who's in charge of investigating this incident, where it took place, so in the US, or in the department that it took place. Category, so let's just say commercial for now. Subcategory in labor. If there was any various media coverage, we can also apply that. And if there's any legal body intervention, and we can find the risk level based on 1 to 4, 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest. And once all is said and done, will go ahead for approval. And once it goes through for approval, it'll go through multiple approval gateways that, depending on the department responsible as well as the approval set, can take quite a while. So for time purposes, we won't be going through the approval process. And finally, we have the training module. What we can do with the training module is we can define training plans or requests for training. And the way that works is we can create a new training plan. Just create a training definition, start and end date, and should be good to go. After that, we can then view the training plans. We can then view the items in the training plans, and we can create the training that the employees will be taking. And we can give information such as what training it is based on the infrastructure definitions. We can choose the start and end date as well as time. What we consider a passing score can also be added. We can set hours that will take place if there's a budget that's required for training, as well as if it's internal or external. And we can select the person responsible for training, the location, workplace, and any processes that are required for it. We can also modify evaluation if required. And if there has been any employee that has requested training, it will be listed here. That then select and connect to that request that the employee of the training. They can then select the request that the employee requested for this training. And we can add any attachments if necessary, as long as it's set up. We can see any participants within training module. We can add participants as well. So you can add groups or just a single person for training if required. And once we perform the training, we can postpone it. We can email. We can reject the training if we want to as well. Perform it. And right here, we can see, we can edit the participant, if date of participation, the score they got during the training, and if they participated or not. If they didn't participate, we can write up a reason as to why. If they did, there's no need to. And we can save that. And we can perform. Once it's performed, it will be closed, and that is the training module. Okay, that's it for QDMS. Any questions?